Yanava has begun. Hello everyone, how are we this evening? I love acknowledging people. Because of you, I do what I do. Jarvis, Sarah, LaDonna, Carl Laperouse, Keith Anthony Blanchard's in the room, Jason, William, Steve Stone, Kristen, Mary Kay, Melanie, Deborah, Carol, Jennifer Whitmore. Hello, Jennifer. Carolyn, Mary Ellen, Sue, Janice. Hello, everyone. I have a big presentation tonight. I always do. I always use those words, too. Everybody hearing everything okay? Music and voice balanced right? Hello, Dana. Say yes, everything's good if you can hear the music and my voice in proper ratio. LaDonna says, is that your billboard in Codewater on 55? Not intentionally. I didn't put it there. I didn't pay for it. Let's put it that way. So everybody hearing the music and my voice okay? Good? Yes, all good. Love it. Lots of buttons. So if everyone who is still here, because sometimes Facebook is not always accurate. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Melanie. Everyone say hi. Just hi. Sella, thank you for letting me post to your new group, dear. I really appreciate that. So if you do want to speak, I'm not sure if though I dropped this video in many different places, I'm not sure if you go into that group that you will show up here. Maybe you will. LaDonna says that billboard on 55 in Mississippi says Yanava. LaDonna, take a picture of that for me next time you go by it. Send it to me. Not that I don't believe you. I'm just wild. Yes, everyone's coming in. All right, good deal. Hello, Cheryl. So tonight the presentation is titled Enlightenment. Tend your garden. Enlightenment. Tend your garden. Enlightenment tends your garden. So tonight we're going to be talking about enlightenment tending your garden. Enlightenment happens throughout your entire life. It can happen in a moment, just like that. It can. It happens to all of us, in fact. Enlightenment happens to all of us in a moment. Every day. When you come to a realization about something, that's enlightenment. You have just been enlightened. Someone tells you a joke, and you get the punchline, that's enlightenment. Happens all the time. But we're talking about, obviously, a spiritual nature. Jason, what's up, bro? I don't do angel readings, but I can do readings for you, Jason. So enlightenment tends your garden. We're going to talk about tending your garden, how to stay in the moment of always being enlightened. Let's get down to the presentation. As always, if you would, please feel free to share this to you all. Also go to youtube.com/Center of Light Radio. youtube.com/Center of Light Radio. My listenership is growing. My subscribers are growing. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube page, youtube.com/Center of Light Radio, please subscribe. Give me some thumbs up on some of the videos. Give me some comments. Things are changing. Enlightenment, tend your garden. I'm going to start up with a few of my own personal enlightenment experiences to share with you what it's like as they happen in a larger dose. Some years ago, I was playing music at Stage Stop in Memphis, Tennessee. I was walking on the stage before we started, a very dimly lit stage. That phase of my life, I was into picking up every penny, nickel, dime, quarter I'd found on the ground and blessing it and saying thank you. And you can always bet that enlightenment has to do with a shattering of the mind. Because if it wasn't, we'd always be enlightened because we think we know everything and we don't. We know nothing. So the mind tends to be shattered. In fact, no, it doesn't tend to. The mind gets shattered. Hence the word in light, in mint. It's the light that is mint. In light, in mint. Enlightenment. So on this dimly lit stage, I saw a penny on the stage. So I decided I was going to reach down to pick up this penny to bless it, to say thank you, God. And as I'm scratching to get this penny up, it would not come up. It would simply not come up. So I tried harder and more earnestly. And I could not understand, my mind could not understand, why can't I pick up this penny? And I was thrown into a conundrum, a riddle, a spiritual riddle. Until I had an enlightenment. I realized that penny was not a penny at all. It was a piece of old gum adhered to the stage. Silly as it sounds, my mind was shattered. Because everything I thought to be real in that moment was not. It was an illusion. Many years ago, when I played with this band, which this Thursday, the singer and I are going to start writing our new album, Lavender Soul, the music you heard at the beginning with the song Choice. We were playing a gig in Mississippi, North Mississippi, at a Presbyterian church. Pentecostal church. The preacher down there was so awesome and nice. We stayed at his double-wide mobile home. It was phenomenal. And we're all sitting around telling about our God stories, our God beliefs, including the preacher, and we just had a great time. So I decided I was hungry. He told me to go in the kitchen. There's some food in there. So I walked up to this basket full of fruit, grabbed a banana out of the basket, and as I grabbed this banana out of the basket, for whatever reasons, I decided to look over to actually it was to my left, toward the living room where everyone was sitting. And I don't know why, but I assumed that when I looked, that was inside this frame was going to be a mirror. Major keywords here, mirror. Thinking it was going to reflect to me my own image or my self-image. As I looked with the intentions of looking into the living room, toward the living room to see everyone conversing in there, I just thought it was going to be a mirror. And it was not a mirror. Mirror assuming self-reflection, but it wasn't a mirror. It was a window. And I could see everyone in the living room. A window of opportunity. My mind could not understand why I was not seeing myself. Because there was no mirror, there was just a window to see in to the living room. The living room. My mind was shattered. In the realization of it being a window after my mind was shattered and not a mirror, I immediately ascended to my soul. Immediately, I ascended to my soul and I dwelled in my higher self for about 30 seconds. That may not seem long, but when you're biting on the universal apple, you got a big wad of food in your mouth. Trust me. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Bubba. Chris, Angela, Elwood, Lori, Chloe, Lacey. My mind was shattered. I thought it was a mirror, expecting to see myself as a reflection. But because it was a window, I did see myself. That's the true self. The other day, a couple of days ago, I was laying down on the sofa, going down for a nap. And it started happening. I walked into 5D unintentionally. As I started going in for a nap, I found things begin to move in a very powerful way. And it was not letting up at all. It was throwing me further in. What I'm about to tell you happened. And I want to describe to you, using the limited language we have, to convey to you what transpired for me a couple of days ago when I laid on my couch to take a nap. Doors were unlocking. I would find myself in the first one. Whoa, I remember this place. And in my whoa, I remember this place, and relaxing into it, another door opened up. Whoa, I know that I'm falling further into myself. I remember this place as well. Falling into it, another door opened up, and doors begin to open just like this. And I was the center. I was watching all of these things unfold around me, and all of these doors simply becoming unlocked. And all I had to do was use my awareness to move into the threshold of that experience. And it was happening. And I kept falling further and further and further and further. This divine man explained it to a friend of mine recently. He's God illumined. You don't get any higher than that. She asked him, what is it like when he sees? He says, everything is in 360 degrees all around me. Everyone's life, past, present, future possibility, 8 billion, every planet in the universe, it's all right there in front of him. Basically, you see like in the movies when there's space technology, these invisible computers, you just grab the screen and throw it around till you get to where you want. This is how he explained it to Angela. This is what I was having happen to me the other day. Hello, Charlotte. Hello, Steph. Hello, Ronnie. That experience was coming over me. I was beginning to experience multidimensional aspects of my own self by taking a nap, by simply falling in. I didn't prep for it. I didn't do a meditation to instigate this. It started to happen. So my best attempt to describe this to you is a remembering. It's truly a remembering. A beautiful one at that. And I can't begin to describe it to you unless you were in it. It's the only way you can grasp what it's like. It was beautiful. It was expansive. It was powerful. It was so spiritually peaceful. And the freedom that I felt as this was transpiring for me the other day during this nap was godly. Tonight, I want to introduce you to the rock star for this presentation. Take him in. Simply just take him in. His name is Sadhguru, which means earthly saint. I'm going to compare. Look at this divine man. Swamiji Viswayogi, who is coming back to Memphis at the end of summer, and I get to hang out with him. I am so excited, you have no idea. Look at this man, and now look at this man. And I don't mean because they both have beards and their hair is white. Look at the glee and the joy that is being expressed, being emoted off of this man. It's always the eyes. It's always the light. This man is a lamplight on the world today, in the world today. This is his 9th avatar incarnation. He was the first God-realized Lord to set feet on the earth a very long time ago. He's a lamplight on the earth today. Unity is our strength. Humanity is our life. And if you look at this lamplight of divinity, and you look at this lamplight, they look the same. Sadhguru, again, means earthly saint. He had an awakening one day. I'm going to read some of that in a minute. It's going to level you. It's going to touch your heart. It's going to humble you. Sadhguru has awareness in 16 dimensions simultaneously. Chew on that. Right now, you're in one dimension with me, consciously. Close your eyes. You start to daydream a little bit. You're in 2 dimensions. Your waking body and your fanciful ideas. At night when you go to sleep, you're in 1 dimension. Until you become lucid or hyper aware to realize that you have a body laying on the bed, and now that you can go run around in the spirit and play and have cosmic lucid experiences, you're aware of 2 dimensions. This man has awareness on 16 dimensions simultaneously. He is the rock star for the evening. Hi, Jaden. Hi, Phyllis. Donna Lee. Trudy. All right. This is the reading segment. There's quite a bit of reading. But it is going to be so worth it. Yanava, it has begun, soul speaks. Dear ones, hang around long enough, and you just might get lucky to have doors open for you as I offer you the keys via this presentation. And little by little you may open, or by leaps and bounds. It is all up to you, dear ones. Sadhguru says, before you go to sleep, keep aside everything that you have accumulated including your body and mind. If you sleep with this awareness every day, one day you may wake up enlightened. Sadhguru, this is all Sadhguru I'm going to be reading for you. The highest force in existence is consciousness, and you are that. I am not dedicated to your comfort. I am dedicated to you breaking barriers within yourself. You are a tiny speck in the universe, but this tiny speck has the potential of containing the whole cosmos. Whenever I do a live presentation, it is always about your spiritual liberation, not because you're broken. It's because I have gleaned wisdom over many years of study, internal practice, wanting it. It would be enlightenment, or the process of awakening. And I say this all the time. What you bring to the table is what you receive. So your awakening can happen over thousands of lifetimes, or can happen in a moment. It's about your spiritual liberation when I do my presentations. To help you get into a space of initiation, integration, and graduation, so that you can become the summation of everything that is. Sadhguru says, when you become full-blown consciousness, everything in the universe to ever be known will be made known to you. Imagine what that is like. Imagine the saturation of divine light that happens to you, inside and out. Being slammed with cosmic knowledge, with cosmic energy, cosmic bliss. Get some water, then we're going to start with the presentation of the reading segment. Hello, Rick. Hello, Lewis. Water. As I just demonstrated that big hand gesture about what it would be like, supposedly, to be illuminated. That's what it feels like to any of us. Someone tells us a joke and we get the punchline. Ah, that movement, that understanding. And understanding, it might come from the brain or the mind, so it seems, but it's not. It's an expansion of the heart. Ah, God lives in there. God's name is Ah. Amen, Yahweh, Buddha, Krishna, Allah, Paramahansa Yogananda, Ya, Na, Va, the name of the soul. Ah. It's all about Ah, I get it. Enlightenment. Here's the reading segment. From Sadhguru. I'm going to show this picture one more time. Take it in while I read this stuff. It's, oh my God, it's so delicious. Sadhguru has awareness on 16 dimensions. He's going to, in part, short, tell his story about what happened to him when he became illuminated. How can you reach enlightenment and live an enlightened life? Throughout history, there have been human beings who have lived very powerfully. We call them the spiritually enlightened. They had a special kind of wisdom, insight, and deep awareness. Dear Lord, awareness is everything about life. Many were unknown. They just simply lived. And some were known to the point where religions were formed around them. Others became a doorway for others to achieve enlightenment, while some became simply an inspiration and a testament to spiritual enlightenment. The way they lived showed others that spiritual enlightenment is possible. Jesus said the same thing. I am the way, the truth, and the life, and the light. True Christians follow the path. They don't judge, they don't gripe, they don't blame other people. They follow the way of the teacher, the Christed way. So they become, in turn, Christ adolescents until we reach Christ adulthood. I am in my Father's in me, and I am in you. You will do the things I do, if not more. Many teachers, religions were formed around them. If you are hearing this, you must be curious about how to achieve enlightenment. I am, that's for sure. Perhaps you're not able to define spiritual enlightenment yourself. That's why I said it was so tough to explain to you those experiences I had. Perhaps you're not able to define spiritual enlightenment yourself, but you may be wondering, what is enlightenment? These are the same questions, coincidentally, I didn't know this, I just grabbed this text and dropped it on the page, that are part of my teachings. Want to know what enlightenment is? Begin to ask of yourselves, of your Creator who lives in you, to lighten you up by asking the questions, who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here? Where am I going? I started asking these questions when I was about 6 years old. Sadhguru continues. Now, if you have to be born once again, this is great. Dear Lord, it's so multi-layered. That's the thing. When you get information from a spiritual avatar, such as Sadhguru, you're not just getting Keith Blanchard sitting in front of this camera reading you a bunch of text. Though you may be looking at this text right now and see a paragraph. It's pretty convincing it's a text. If you're getting information and wisdom from a divine man who has awareness on 16 dimensions simultaneously, in this paragraph may be 100 words. Those words are placed where they are for a reason. His word selection was chosen for a reason. These words are just not superficial mind stuff to tickle the hairs in your ears and your brain and you get a little knowledge. They are encrypted with light information. Now, if you have to be born once again, you must die first. If you're not willing to die, the question of being born does not arise. This does not mean dying physically. If you leave this body, some other nonsense will be waiting for you. Let me read that again. That is powerful. This does not mean dying physically. If you leave this body, some other nonsense will be waiting for you. But if you die the way you are, if you destroy everything that you called myself, then you are born once again. The rebirth of the Christ. Being reborn. Every day you are born. Every night you die. In order to become more of the essence of who you are, what we think we are has to go. We have to expand through that shell. Like a snake. Like a chrysalis on a cocoon for a butterfly. We have to shed the old and expand into the new. We have to break out. Break out. The way out is in. And when we do that from inwardly to outwardly, we expand into divinity. But if you die the way you are, if you destroy everything that you call myself, then you are born once again. This kind of birth happens 100% consciously. Once again, you become blissful and innocent, but fully aware. Now, this blissfulness cannot be taken away by anybody. You cannot become unenlightened. No one can ever take away your bliss once you get this bliss. So what you call enlightenment means a conscious self-annihilation. Hi, Dagny. Patrick, Maria. Ricky Vito says, you are feeling me. Love good. Please pray for peace for me and my wife, Renee. Yanava, love and light is on its way, my bro. Jane says, your live feeds always make me feel like anything is possible. You have helped me unlock so many spiritual doors. I've realized that all the answers are within myself. And that is the most spiritually liberating feeling. Yanava, it has begun, she says. I'm flattered, dear. Thank you. Continuing with Sadhguru. So what we call enlightenment is really conscious self-annihilation. To annihilate everything we think to be real, our egoic mind. So this desire to go beyond life is the beginning of walking the path to spiritual enlightenment. India is home to traditions which have produced paths for people to walk towards becoming enlightened. For thousands of years and up until today, there is a direct transmission of the knowledge of how to reach enlightenment from teacher to student. This is a deep relationship based on one goal. A deep spiritual relationship based on one goal. Reaching your spiritual enlightenment. Whether you think you are free living in America has nothing to do with freedom nor your liberation whatsoever. In fact, it's a grain of sand of what real freedom and liberation is. When you look at every grain of sand, rock, boulder in the entire cosmos, it doesn't even touch it. It pales in comparison. So if you're feeling pretty good in your skin right now, that you're living in America, and you have the freedom to choose your life, I feel the same way, and I'm grateful. It doesn't even come close to painting the picture at all. This is the liberation I felt day before yesterday when I was taking a nap, and I had that experience. This is the liberation through all these presentations. I draw from the wellspring of my heart as an outpouring and a gesture, because I love each and every one of you. We're all in this together. It's time. There's a popular saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. The seeker's sincerity will surely guide them on becoming enlightened by walking the path to spiritual enlightenment. This is the case, for when the curiosity of the seeker reaches its zenith and one looks for the path to spiritual enlightenment, it is also the responsibility and the privilege of the tradition to provide a path to spiritual enlightenment for future generations, to protect and safeguard the teachings, methods, and instructions. This creates a deep sense of authenticity and therefore trust in the seeker on the path to spiritual enlightenment. I've said this many times what Sadhguru said here. For those who are just arriving, this man has awareness in 16 dimensions. This is Sadhguru. Sadhguru means earthly saint. Take him in. He says, see right now, whether you know it or not, me reading this dialogue to you, light energies are bombarding you on every possible level. 16 levels. He has awareness in 16 dimensions. So he's not only using words, he's using his consciousness to fashion all of this dialogue to hit you on 16 dimensions. He says, the seeker's sincerity will surely guide them on becoming enlightened by walking the path to spiritual enlightenment. I always say, you put enough passion, sincerity, and heart to have a conversation with your Creator right now. Are you with me? And God says, why, yes, I am. Why would we ever deny that response when we ask the question of our Creator, dear Lord, are you with me? And you hear, well, absolutely I am. Gautama, Siddhartha, Buddha, was out to end suffering. Whatever you heard about Buddha, that people have tried to convince you that is not aligned with the life of Christ, you were lied to. Simply, you were lied to via someone's ignorance. Don't continue that death cycle of ignorance, because this is about your spiritual liberation. Buddha was a prince. He left it all behind. Brand new wife, brand new born baby. Left it all because he saw someone outside of the kingdom, the garden of soul. He had everything he ever wanted. He was deflected from suffering and death. He never saw it. He walked outside of the gates. He saw death and dying. And he vowed his life to be in service to end suffering. And he lived in the wilderness for years. He gained a lot of enlightenment over those years. One day he realized, I had enough of seeking. Seeking's not working. I've grown. Yes, I have grown, said Buddha. I'm not there. So what he did is what Sadhguru said in this passage. He sat under a Bodhi tree, went inside, and says, with the earth as my witness, I will not leave this spot until I become fully illuminated. That is a declaration. That is a commitment. That is devotion at its finest. That is sincerity at its... The next morning, when the sun rose, he saw it. His connection to all of it. And he became illumined. That's why when you see the picture of Buddha, cartoon picture, illustrated picture of Buddha sitting under a tree, a Bodhi tree, you see this huge light source all around him. This happened to him. Happened to Jesus in the baptism. Happens to you when someone told you a joke and you, I got it. Happens to you every time you learn something. Continuing with Sadhguru. How do I know I am enlightened? It's a question. Sadhguru says, a yogi and a mystic. You are a yogi. Sadhguru is a yogi. Jesus, Buddha, they were all yogis. What a yogi means, it comes from yoga. Yoga translates to unity. That's why people in, not in America per se, that's a commercialized version of yoga. The intention of yoga, being that it means unity, is to unite you with God. That's why you do all those poses and positions. To open up all the channels so you can become a pure vessel of light for the light. Yogi means one who is aspiring to God. Jesus aspired to God and became it. He was a yogi. Buddha was a yogi. You and I, when we live our lives consciously for spiritual enlightenment, we are yogis. Sadhguru continues, a yogi and mystic, one of the foremost authorities on yoga, has designed something called inner engineering. He's reached millions and millions of people. This man, earthly saint Sadhguru, with awareness in 16 dimensions. This is just a little piece about what happened and how it happened to him. Imagine this happened to Buddha. Imagine just happened to Christ at their moment of enlightenment. This is what happened to Sadhguru. On the afternoon of September 23rd, 1982, a young businessman sat down at his favorite spot on Chamundi Hill. As he sat with his eyes open, suddenly he slipped into a state where he could not differentiate between himself and his surroundings. It was a staggering explosion. This is his words. Notice what I described. I said, when you become enlightened, it happens. In such a great and powerful way. Hello, everyone out in YouTube land. Please feel free to chat with me. I'll check back in. So let me start over. On this afternoon, on the afternoon of September 23rd in 1982, a young businessman sat down at his favorite spot on Chamundi Hill. As he sat with his eyes open, suddenly he slipped into a state where he cannot differentiate between himself and his surroundings. It was a staggering explosion. What, he says, what was me was everywhere. After nearly 4 hours, which felt like only a few minutes, he came back to his usual self. He found himself drenched in tears, while his mind grappled to find an explanation, as I said earlier. Something was happening to me, he said. I did not know what it was. All I knew was, I have hit a gold mine, and I don't want to ever lose it. Since this experience, Sadhguru's fundamental vision is to offer the science of inner well-being to every human being, as I am doing. A science vitally helping realize the ultimate potential within. From this vision stem a multitude of projects, programs, and methods, all towards the same aim: to raise every human being to the peak of their potential, be exuberant, all-inclusive, in harmony with themselves and the world. I have a dream, he says, that someday, walking on the street anywhere in the world, I will be able to meet lots of enlightened or realized beings. That would be the greatest blessing to happen to the world. My energy is pulsing. Why does one need a guru to reach enlightenment? Hello, Wendy. Hello, Melissa. Why does one need a guru to reach enlightenment? For example, if you have a problem in your heart, you would want to go to the best heart surgeon available. Or if you have an issue with your eyes, you would want to go to the best optometrist. You basically would like to receive treatment from specific specialists in each area. If you're seeking enlightenment, seeking the support of an enlightened being is essential. Sadhguru explains that when you are walking through uncharted terrain, it is more effective to do so with the guidance of someone who has been there. Otherwise, you might take millions of years to do what might have taken only a short time. Sadhguru continues, enlightenment never happens. It is there. It is always there. The spiritual practice that you do is just to see it there. You are not doing spiritual practice to construct divinity within you. All you will construct is only your ego. I am not talking about being a spectator. I am talking about involvement. I am talking about involving yourself into life in such a way that you dissolve into it. That slammed me. I am talking about involvement. I am talking about involving yourself into life in such a way that you dissolve into it. Being spiritual does not mean being dead serious. If you allow life to happen within you exuberantly, unbridled, you will touch the spirit. You can be deeply involved with everything, but still not be identified with it anymore. Spirituality does not mean going away from life. Spirituality means becoming alive in the fullest possible way, so you are not just alive on the surface, but you are alive to the core. My God. When any being calls or really yearns, the existence answers. If the thirst within you is so strong and strong enough, God always answers. The divine will always yield to you, but it has to be your number one priority. The divine will always yield. You have to want it. Like your next breath, like your manna. When you destroy the walls of falsehood that you have built, everything becomes one. Only when you merge with the existence will you be free. That's what happened to me in my nap day before yesterday. As long as you and the existence are separated, there is no such thing as freedom. God will not lift a little finger for you. Please know, because whatever he has to do, he has done it. His work is not pending. He has done a fantastic job over the creation, isn't it? He has done a fantastic job. There is nothing to complain. He has put himself into you. Beyond that, he cannot do anything. Everything that you need to know has been given. So it is your turn to play the game now. The match has started. Coach cannot interfere with you now. If you are spiritually aware that you are nobody and you act out your role, this is enlightenment. When we say everything is an illusion, illusion does not mean it does not exist. It simply means that you are not seeing it the way it is. You're not seeing it the way it is. Your perception has changed, and it's everything. Perception and awareness is everything. I could sit here and say this for 3 days and non-stop, and it will not press on the lesson how awareness and a shift in perception can alter your experience all the way to the core. A Course in Miracles says, there is nothing outside of you. That is what you must ultimately learn. God's inside. God is everything and everywhere. From my bestseller, The Divine Principle, Spirit says, what you have been longing for is your own internal life fire. But because, until recently, you were looking for love in all the wrong places, you have always fallen short of fulfillment. Your obsession with things external has taken over and left you feeling alone and unguided. Your belief in lack has driven your ego wants, urges, and addictions. By overlooking the spirit within yourself, you have been unable to fully realize that it is you alone who have held the key to your own bliss. And finally, another way to understand that you can put into practice to begin to unfold your consciousness to the truth of enlightenment that already exists. Just ease into it. Many people have often heard me say, ease into bliss. It's about being easy on yourself. You can let go enough, as I did the other day taking that nap, and experience your true identity, which is really no identity, because I had many of them. There was a myriad of them inside of me. And all I have to do is shift my awareness to play in any of those arenas. Spiritual liberation is what I'm about. I'm always about handing you your life. Handing you life through you. Let me find that last quote on Sadhguru. It's phenomenal. It's not really about life pushing you. Or it's really about life pushing through you. It's not about you pushing your way through life. Rather, it's not about you pushing your way through life. It's about life pushing through you. From my bestseller, in closing off the reading segment, it's called Realizing God. Realizing that which is inside of everyone. Realizing it. Because to many of us right now it's just a dream. It's a fanciful, hopeful idea. I say to Spirit, how much more are we going to be writing in this book? Spirit says, this will be my final transmission. But before I go, I shall leave you with a guide for you to follow so that you will be able to reach your destination. Enlightenment. All who seek divinity must live a life free from wanting, for that is the source and cause of spiritual bondage. As long as one is constantly wanting, one will fall only farther away from the selflessness of grace and into the selfishness of ego. The ego mind is the cloth that veils consciousness. Your wants are its threads. But when you give up your constant wanting, your ego threads will fall away and the cloth will disappear, revealing your true nature. The pure, genuine self that is the soul. God realization will happen for you when you finally free yourself from the brain, the senses, the mind, the wanter. Once you break out of your finite little prison of individuality, you will become conscious, enlightened, one with the cosmic power, Thus, you will reach God. Enlightenment. I'm going to play some music. Everyone, please feel free to bring forth some comments and or questions. I would love to hear from you. And for those out there who may be listening to this presentation that I have not acknowledged, I don't know if you are in a particular room, not on my feed, if they're bringing us together. So for those who are in the Cosmic Center of Universe feed, please put, yes, I am in Cosmic. That way I know it's translating and crossing the boundaries, that everything is connecting. So hello everyone from Cosmic Center of the Universe group. Hello everyone in YouTube land. Blessings everyone. Again, as I stated, please feel free to bring through your questions or comments. You're welcome, Dana. Blessings. Thank you, Jaden, for sharing. Cheryl says, wow. This is it, folks. It's us. Hello, Dale. It's simply just a wanting, a yearning. Elwood asked the question, what do you do to get out of your own way? I would say ask that question, bro. At any given moment, ask yourself, right now in this moment, am I in my own way? You can maybe use as a gauge your level of spiritual enlightenment. You know how spiritually enlightened you are, for anyone. Now, you may not have to compare that to enlightenment, but your intuition and your soul always regulates wisdom and knowledge and truth to you. Just ask, right now, am I in my own way? Do I need to step aside? You can tell you are in your way if you're holding on to having to have what it is you're wanting. You're in your way. If you're trying to force a square peg into a round hole, doing what you think might work, you're in your way. Michelle, you are welcome, Angel. Michelle says, I am grateful that I decided to stop and view this. Please join my feeds anytime you like, dear. Let's become Facebook Broham and Sisters. My page is yours, Michelle. I'll be in touch with you soon. Stick around. Gonna answer a couple of questions. Michelle says, you know when you're in your way when you feel resistance. Yes. When you feel that place of, I'm just not sure this is going to work, just by coming to the state of awareness of asking yourself, am I in my own way, would be a good bet. But also you can use that as well to gauge yourself after some time in practice. Wow, actually I'm not in my way. And you will feel the liberation right then and there. There you go. The liberation is not going to come to you via the practice. The liberation is going to happen when you are in liberation mode. Now we get to stretch that open. That's our task. Cheryl says your advice rocks. Yes. All right, y'all, I got a couple more minutes. If you want to bring forth any other comments or questions, please feel free. I'm going to sit here for just a bit more. Thank you for joining. Those who live in Memphis, Tennessee, Sunday, June 24th, $20 admission. I am going to be bringing it home. radical transformation, crossing the bridge to the soul. I am going to grab you and I'm going to throw you into the river. The cosmic life stream. You're going to feel it. Like the energy I'm feeling right now in my body, because we're going to be in physical proximity, is going to become palpable. And I'm going to spin that energy. I'm going to use the force, Luke. And I'm going to spin it by who's there. And you will feel it. June 24th, 6 p.m. Central Time. Take a road trip if you're not from here. Why not? Come hang out with me. I'll be playing music in the very near future, probably that day or the next day or the day before. We'll have a blast. Matt Michelle says, I'm on the east coast of Canada. Oh, I bet that's just absolutely gorgeous. Is that like Nova Scotia, Michelle? Melanie says, put down the oars and stop wanting. Just allow. Yes. Now, don't get me wrong. You can want. Let's change that word. Let's use the word desire. Or even take that word away. And just simply have of a something. That's all you really need. That's really all you need. Because what you think you are wanting already exists. It already exists. So you can see you're wanting it more as a calling it to you, or you bringing yourself to it, to where there is a unity in consciousness. Spiritual law, it manifests. Yeah, Michelle says New Brunswick, next to Nova Scotia. It's beautiful. Yeah, I bet. Okay, everyone. One final refresh to see who's here. Please feel free to bring forth your comments and or your questions. I'll wait a couple of minutes. So again, I appreciate you. For those who are just arriving or arriving in the future as an archive view, please subscribe to my YouTube page, youtube.com/Center of Light Radio. It's happening. It's moving. The end of summer, God Realized Man Swamiji Viswayogi is coming to Memphis. I get to hang out with this divine man again. This is probably the 5th, 6th time. And when you're around an illumined, enlightened individual, you feel it. Yes, Melanie, that's it. So basically she's saying, so what do I do when there's something I want? Do I align with it? That's exactly what you do. But how do you align with it when it's not your experience? To experience what it's like to be able to align with it. That's the conundrum. It's the feeling that you have. If you want this particular thing, things are allowed. Let's just say a thing. We're humans, we like things. You want this thing. How do I align with this thing if I'm not aligned with it to have it, to know what to do, to align with it to get it? Hello, Gina. Somebody just had a birthday, not a birthday. She graduated or got an award as one of the most recognized biology teachers or whatever. That's awesome, girl. So how do I align with something when it's not here for me to align with so I can have it? You call up the feeling inside that you know that something is going to bring you when you finally get it. That's how you align with it. You want a brand new car? I want a brand new Ferrari. It's not the car you want. The car is the excuse. What you really want is the feeling that the car is going to bring you. And it's going to bring you a very specific feeling, a very specific vibration. When you create that feeling and that vibration within yourself, by law, spiritual law, the car will show up. Whether you win the lottery and buy the car yourself, Whether you help someone, save someone's life, and their father happens to own the dealership, and they gift you a Ferrari, that's how it's done. So Keith, why don't you have a Ferrari right now? I don't need one. My life is full. But you can bet one day, after I continue to put forth these teachings that I've been doing for a long time, I am going to have everything I've ever wanted. Only because of spiritual law, I'm going to be everything there ever is, was, and will be. When you are it, it is given. That is the law. That is the truth. And you cannot shake it. There is no other way. If Creator lives here, and I align with Creator, and if Creator is omnipresent, which means it's imbued and in everything, that when I align with what is in here, Creator, then equally, literally, equally unified, I am aligned with that which is on the outside of me as well. There is no separation. That's how you create your life. As Sadhguru said, enlightenment is already there. There's nothing you have to do except to fall into it and unfold into it. That's it. You're welcome, Michelle. In closing, let me see if Nava, Soul has anything. Dear ones, bring yourselves to the table. Serve yourselves. Serve everyone around you. For the food, your sustenance, your manna has been laid out before you. It is all there waiting for you to take bites and to move into the experience, to feed your soul, to feed your mind, to feed your growth, to expand and swell yourself as you have in a good meal. Instead, here is your meal. Stay steadfast focused on the food that is being supplied all over the world right now through spiritual teachers such as the one that I am expressing through in this moment. Almost, so to speak, gorge yourselves. Become bloated with spiritual food, spiritual knowledge. But here's the benefit and the kicker. You won't gain weight or become heavy. You will become light. I love you. Peace, love, and light, my friends.